Okay, so if you're doing B2B sales in Go High Level, you know how annoying it can be when you get a new lead, someone books a call, or they come in through a lead form, and all you see is a name, phone, and email address. You don't know who this person is, where they came from, what their business does. You don't even know if they're a good fit for your business. And so I got tired of that, frankly, and I built out an AI highly advanced system that's not actually that advanced, that basically goes to their website, scrapes their entire website, and turns it into pure markdown that you can feed to an AI to get a summary, or you can add it to the full context about this contact for your own type of analysis. Whatever you want to do with it, you can just extract this information, and maybe you just create a summary field on your contact, so you can quickly see what their business does without having to click on their website, go into high level, click on their website, read about it, write it down maybe. This just saves so much time. So that's why I'm excited to show you how this works. Basically what we're going to do is we're going to use Firecrawl, and I'll just show you the workflow. It's really simple. It's really easy. Frankly, a toddler could do it. If you have trouble with this, you might be dumber than a toddler. Just kidding. I know if this isn't your thing, it's kind of confusing. This is the workflow, all right? Here's what we're going to do. So we have no trigger on this workflow, you'll notice. You'll say, why is there no trigger on this workflow? How do we trigger this? Well, you could, if you wanted to, you could have this trigger be contact created. But, let's say a contact is created. Maybe they don't have an email or a website right away. Maybe they have to fill out a form later on or take some kind of action. That's why we have no trigger. For most applications, you actually might just add contact created as your primary trigger. But in my case, we're actually going to add people to this workflow so we get their website scraped, depending on a few things. So for instance, if we have a chat widget submission, then what we're going to do is we're going to scrape we're going to add them to this workflow to scrape their website and get that information. So it should stay relatively fresh. But coming back to this, here's how it works. So firstly, we're checking if we're missing this data. So we have a custom field here that you're going to need. I just called it website scraping data or something like that. And so basically what you're going to do, I called it website scraping markdown. And so if website scraping markdown is empty, then we know we don't have any data for them, so we can go through and do everything. If not, then we just return early. We just basically have nothing here, and so they'll just get skipped. Now, the second part of this is actually just using a little bit of simple custom code to extract the URL from either their website or their email. We're not always going to have a website field, and so in some cases, it's more helpful to look at the email address and try to pull out the domain from that. So in this case, we don't even need AI. I actually built this originally using AI, and then I was like, I'm an idiot. All we have to do is basically look at their email. So we make sure it's a string. We make sure we actually have an email here, and then we go, we split it at the @ symbol, and then we see if it's an actual valid domain. And we make sure it's not one of these default kind of personal providers like Gmail, Outlook, whatever. And so if we actually have a domain from their email, then we're going to set our domain value to their email. And of course, you can just copy this code. I'll put it somewhere, right? Probably in the description, I guess. And then if we have a website field for them, we're going to prioritize this. So we put it second. Basically, the way this works is we're using let as the domain, as the variable. So that means let domain can be reassigned. And so in this case, we're setting it to the email domain, but we're checking also if we have a website. And if we have a website, then we're going to set the domain to the actual to the website from the website field. So you either get the email domain or the website domain if there is no email, or just the domain if we have one, right? Because it's better. And then all we do is output that domain. Next, we just got to make sure we actually found one. So in this case, if we didn't find one, we're just going to return the string none. So we just have a check to see if the domain is not none, then we know we found something actually real. Otherwise, and this should actually be not error, just none, okay? No domain. So in that case, we're just going to exit early again. But now that we know we actually have a domain, we have not scraped this person before, and the reason we check if we scrape this person is because it's not extremely expensive. It's like $20 a month or something, so it's pretty cheap, but there's no sense in just continuously running this if you don't need to. All we do is we run a Firecrawl request. So this is Firecrawl, and actually, I wonder if I can go Firecrawl, look at their main website. It's just like a scraping tool. You just like type in a domain, and then it gives you some like structured data of what their website contains. It's mildly, it's pretty basic, but you know, it's useful, right? And they have some other features like PDF processing. Actually, in this case, we're just doing a scrape, but you could actually do a crawl where you look through multiple pages on their website. In this case, we don't really give a shit, but we just only want to look at their homepage, but that's an option, you know? So then we just make a post request to api.firecrawl.dev/v1/scrape. Then it's going to be a bearer token, and I just put in my API key, which is, I just called it Firecrawl default. And then for the content, or for the body, we're just going to pass in the URL, which is going to be the output of our custom code, customcode.1.output.domain. And then for formats, all we want is Markdown, okay? So you want to specify this, I think, because it's more expensive if you don't specify it, or maybe it errors out. Then you just need to make sure to save response from this webhook, and god dang it, now it's going to make me test it again. So if we choose this one, because I have a domain in the email, so even if we don't have a website here, we'll still get the content. What I'm going to do is send a test request. Motherfucker. Why did that happen? It said 400. Oh, because we're trying to output code that doesn't actually exist. So I'm just going to copy this. We'll just type in streamline.so. So when you first test this, you have to type in like a test website, just your own website or something, and we'll just go. Then it doesn't matter what contact you test because we're not pulling any contact details. Send test request, and it takes like a couple seconds, and then it'll return our response. So you get a bunch of stuff about their website, but importantly, you get this markdown, which is just a giant string which has basically all of the copy and links and stuff from the website. Once you've tested it, you just want to make sure to replace that. So we'll hit save. And now, the only thing we have to do is save this to our custom field. And now you can run any kind of AI analysis on this. In this case, we're adding a tag run eval, which causes our external system to basically analyze this lead and using like the entire conversational context. And then we can basically get an idea of like, you know, what the lead quality is based on their website. Because normally we wouldn't have any information, but now we have some very basic information that we can use to either grade the contact or just summarize kind of what they do or determine like kind of how high quality they are. So yeah, that's really all there is to it. I mean, it's a super straightforward workflow. I was putting this off for forever, and then I realized it's actually super fucking easy to do. So yeah, I will put this code somewhere so you can find it. And that's the video. Voila. Shebang, ba-boom, skadoosh, all those types of terms apply to the end of the video, and henceforth, we are there. You have arrived. Alright, thanks for watching.